You won't believe what happened this morning at a quiet roadside diner in Denver. The sun had just broken across the horizon, spilling gold light over chrome motorcycles, the kind that gleamed like fire beneath the sky. The world was waking slowly, coffee brewing, bacon sizzling, truck engines humming. But in the corner booth of Maplewood Diner, something bigger than breakfast was about to unfold. A dozen Hell's Angels bikers had stopped there, their vests worn, their boots heavy, their laughter rough but real. They were the kind of men people usually avoided. Tough faces, tattoos, leather. But behind those shades and scars lived stories the world never asked to hear. Stories of loyalty, loss, and second chances. And that's when it happened. A piercing scream cut through the morning air. Everyone froze. Out from the mist of the parking lot, a little girl came running. No more than 8 years old, her small red dress whipping in the cold wind, her boots barely staying on her feet. She stumbled, caught herself, and screamed again, her voice breaking, desperate. "Please, somebody help my mama. They're hurting her." The diner fell silent. Forks dropped. Even the rumble of motorcycle engines seemed to fade. She pointed back down the long two-lane road, her tiny hands shaking. Tears streaked through the dust on her face, and for one long, breathless second, no one moved. "Hey, before we go any further, tell me this. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments, because this story, this one right here, will remind you that kindness still exists, even in the most unexpected hearts. And if you believe that good people still rise when the world looks away, like this video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and let's keep spreading hope. Back at the diner, a few truckers near the pumps exchanged uncertain glances, but one man didn't hesitate. A broad-shouldered biker with grey stubble and eyes that carried more life than most people ever lived. Mason Cole, a Hell's Angel, and a man who had seen darkness close up. He stepped forward, his boots thudding on the asphalt. Hey, slow down, sweetheart," he said, dropping to one knee. "What happened? Where's your mama?" The girl could barely speak. Her sobs came in gasps. She pointed again, toward the hills. "They're beating her," she cried. "He's gonna kill her." Mason didn't need another word. He stood up fast, his voice firm. "Tank, Ryder, with me." 3 engines roared to life, loud enough to shake the glass of the diner windows. The air filled with the thunder of chrome and fury as the men sped down the road, a storm of dust trailing behind them. The little girl, still trembling, was ushered inside by one of the other bikers. They wrapped her in a heavy leather jacket, big enough to swallow her whole, and sat her by the window, hands around a warm mug of cocoa. 5 long minutes. Silence swallowed the diner. Every pair of eyes was fixed on that road. And then, faintly at first, came the sound of shouting, the roar of engines again, a scream. And then to quiet. When Mason reached the trailer park, the scene inside was chaos. A battered old trailer stood crooked in the mud, its windows shattered, the door half hanging off its hinges. Inside, a man reeked of whiskey and rage, shouting words that didn't sound human anymore. In the corner, a woman cowered, her face bruised, hands raised to shield herself. And before the man could strike again, Mason kicked the door open. "Hey," his voice thundered. "You want to hit someone? Hit me." The man spun, slurring curses, raising a broken bottle. But Mason was faster. He caught the man's wrist mid-swing and twisted. Hard. The bottle shattered. The man screamed. Tank and Ryder pinned him to the floor before he could even blink. No words. No grand speeches. Just action. Pure and human. Mason turned to the woman, lowering his tone. "Ma'am, you're safe now. You hear me? He's done." Tears streamed down her cheeks. She nodded weakly, whispering, "Thank you." Outside, sirens began to wail. The police had been called, maybe by a neighbor, maybe by one of the bikers back at the diner. When they arrived, the Hell's Angels didn't run. They didn't fight. They just stood there in the sunlight, calm, steady, as the police led the man away in handcuffs. The woman, Carla, clung to Mason's arm, her little girl running from the diner to throw herself into her mother's embrace. "Mama," she cried, sobbing against her chest. "He helped you, Mama. They helped you." The officers exchanged looks, disbelief flickering across their faces. These were the Hell's Angels, men the world often painted as villains. And yet, here they were, rescuing a mother and child. Mason knelt beside the girl again, his leather vest catching the light. "You did good, kid," he said softly. "You were brave today." She smiled through her tears, whispering, "You came. I knew someone would." When they rode back to the diner, the whole town seemed to be waiting. Truckers, locals, travelers, all gathered outside, whispering about what had just happened. When they saw Mason step out of the dust, holding the little girl's hand and guiding her bruised mother beside him, the crowd went silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. Carla's voice shook as she spoke. "I didn't think anyone would come," she said, her eyes red. "I screamed so long. No one stopped." Mason looked at her, calm but firm. "She made sure we did," he said, nodding toward Hannah. "She's got more courage than most grown men I've met." The diner's owner came out, speechless, carrying blankets and hot coffee. One by one, the bikers removed their leather vests and laid them gently around Carla and Hannah's shoulders, a gesture so unexpected that even the cops looked away in quiet respect. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then applause began, quiet at first, then louder, as if everyone in that diner suddenly remembered what it meant to be human. News spread fast. By lunchtime, the story of the Hell's Angels who saved a woman and child had reached every diner, every gas station, every phone screen in town. Some didn't believe it. Others drove straight to Maplewood Diner just to see the men themselves, to shake their hands, to thank them. A reporter asked Mason later, "Why'd you get involved?" "You could have walked away." He just shrugged, lighting a cigarette. "You don't walk away from a cry like that," he said. "Doesn't matter what colors you wear. Some things are just human." Weeks passed. Carla found a small apartment in town with the help of the community. The bikers, every Sunday without fail, stopped by to check on her and Hannah. They brought groceries, fixed her porch, and sometimes just sat quietly with coffee, letting laughter replace the echoes of fear. Mason never asked for thanks, but every time he saw Hannah, her eyes lit up. She'd wave from the window, her little hands covered in paint, drawing pictures of motorcycles and angels with leather wings. One morning in spring, she came running out with something folded in her hand, a drawing in bright crayon, a row of motorcycles, a little girl in red, and a tall man kneeling beside her. "This is us," she said proudly. "You and me. You helped us." Mason stared at the drawing for a long moment. His rough hands trembled just a little as he took it. "That's going with me, wherever I ride," he said softly. He folded it carefully and tucked it inside his vest, right over his heart. As the sun climbed higher, the engines started again, a roar that somehow sounded softer now, like thunder that promised rain, not war. Carla and Hannah waved as the bikes disappeared down the highway, a cloud of dust rising behind them. And for the first time in a long time, the little girl didn't feel scared of the world. She knew, somewhere out there, people still cared. People still stood up when it mattered most. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that real strength comes from compassion, and that heroes sometimes wear leather instead of capes, then please, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs faith in humanity, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Together, we're building a world that remembers what it means to be kind. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in that diner that day? Would you have stepped up like Mason did? Your answer might just inspire someone else to be brave when the moment comes.